All right. Hey, y'all, what's going on? This is your man, Sabir Aleem. What's happening? What's popping? Well, as always, I got something dropping. Got a few things dropping, especially this month. Yeah. December 25th, 2025, album number 5 drops. Yeah. It's my 5th album that'll be dropping. I think this is my second album within the same year that I've actually put out. Line Up was the one I put out earlier uh, this year. I think that one came out in, August. I think it was somewhere around August. I dropped the album Line Up. So the title of this album that's coming out is God's in a Man's World. Yeah. And I know a lot of people be like, God's in a man's world, but God created the world. Yeah, but we'll talk about it some more today. Last week we were talking about religion, and we were talking about how much of your life has improved as a result of practicing a religion. How much has actually changed in the world. Matter of fact, what has changed in the world hinged off of the practicing of religion. See, because it's actually twofold. If there's a foundation that has been established of living for an individual that is based in religion, then what exactly are the changes that have happened in your life other than language? Right? Because when you practice a particular religion, there's a language, there's a culture that is formed. There's greetings. There's ways of confronting particular issues within the group, the brotherhood, the ummah, the congregation, whatever it is that you refer to it as. There are guidelines that have to be followed. And these guidelines aren't always within the text of the teachings. They should be, but they're not. Right? Which is one of my pet peeves about people who practice Islam. Now, for those of you who don't know, I was a practicer of Islam from 1988 till about 4 years ago. Right? I chose to just live a spiritual life, right? Still taking direction, guidance from the books of God that I believe, but I also believe that man has always had his hand in everything. You can't have something in your hand and say, well, this came from God, if you didn't receive it from him yourself. See, if you want to practice something, practice with an open mind. Practice with something that makes sense. And a lot of things about religion don't make sense. And you know it doesn't make sense. But like sheep, so many of us just go along. But that's okay. That's on you, because that's not what today's subject matter is about. Right? If you want to be true to yourself, if you want to be authentic, practice something authentically, right? You can't pick and choose what portions you want to follow. So from 1988 until, like I said, about 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, I practiced Islam, right? And understanding that the Quran says itself, in it, referring to the book itself, in it is guidance. So guidance is necessary for all of us. If I read a book on leadership, right, I'm going to grasp the concept of those things that I am most familiar with. The things that I'm not familiar with are the things that I probably want to delve more into so I can understand what its intent is in the statement, right? Many of us just regurgitate something that the pastor said, that the minister said, regurgitate what we hear within that core group. Remember, because I said the language, right? The Muslim with the Assalamu alaikum, which is the best of greetings, turned into Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullah, barakatuh, and all this other. Nah, the Quran itself said the best of greeting is a greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Right? Then other stuff got added on. Then, we have the Muslims here in North America who wear all the garments that many Middle Easterners abandoned because they're not in agreement with that. Is that religion or culture? The women who walk amongst society in black represent absence. It's an absence there. The Creator himself gave man woman as his helper. But there's countries that say that she's non-existent. Oh, there's not just countries. There's religion itself that says that. Yeah. The same is said of Christianity. But again, you have all these sects because there's not supposed to be a woman at the podium. That's religion. That's not what I made up. Search for yourself. But then, but it's this sect of Islam that practices this. It's this sect of Christianity that practices this, and so on and so forth. So we have all of these sects, and you don't question that. You don't question the very books. You don't question the very things that these people involve themselves in. And what you hear most persistently today is the fact that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam married a 9-year-old. You hear that all the time. You hear that all the time from the non-Muslim, right? Regardless of the fact that this person was not come upon in the manner that the fact that he married. So we have all of those things that come along with that. We have the Christian Crusades, all that, and that has resurfaced again. Christianity is attached to that. I didn't attach it to that. I wasn't part of that, right? We have the conflicts between the Jewish people here, right, and the Jewish people in Israel. Nothing I said, nothing I did. That's not anti-Semitism. The Jewish people here had an opinion about what was going on in Israel and vice versa. Why? And so on and so forth. But nobody wants to accept that. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to acknowledge that, right? There's conflicts and controversies that exist across the board because you didn't receive that message yourself directly from God. If you didn't receive it, if it wasn't inscribed upon your heart, you can't say that it's fact. But you want to stand by it. We stand by much, not just in America, but in the world. We stand by many things that are questionable, and we continue to stand there over and over again and defend and support and won't ask the question, but will continue adherence in present form, but not behind the door. So you're hiding your deceit. You're hiding your ill-gotten gains from others, but you're supposed to be obedient to and serving God. You hide from man, you're false before God, but you're righteous amongst them. Come on. You want to have a conversation? Let's have the conversation. If this is not something that you want to converse about, change the page. Go to another station. It's amazing. So when I give you the title of my soon-to-be-released album being God's in a Man's World, oh, that's blasphemous. Oh, what do you mean? This is God's world, is it? Because I create something, does it make it mine? Because I have the power and authority to just end it all? Does that still make it mine? I am the creator of it. I am the creator of it. What power has man been given by God? Read. Take life, create life, impose difficulties in life. This is God's earth. Why can't we just walk up to any creek on anybody's land and fill water bottles and take them home? Why can't we just walk up to any forest and go pick fruits, berries, and nuts? All of those things that God gave us. Why can't we just do that? Oh, so the sensible answer is, well, because that's somebody's private land. How? How did every inch of land become owned by man? How did that happen? How did so-called uncharted land become somebody else's or become cut off from the rest of us? Why can't we just go across the Arctic to the other side of the wall? Why are we not permitted to go there? Think outside of the box that you've placed yourself in. Think outside of the box that you've placed yourself in. We go to the store and buy bottled water. But God provided all of this for us. You're hungry. We have people starving all over the world. Why can't they just go over there to the forest and just get some fruits, nuts, and berries and go fishing? You can't even fish without having a license. That ain't your damn water. But you're offended by a title, God's in a man's world. Why are you so offended? Do you really understand and see your position in this life as a human being? Or are you still riding on the narrative somebody told you and you just refuse to see the reality of what you've been told as being a lie? I'm saying I'm just the deliverer of the message. And what do you do to every deliverer? According to what's written, what happened to every message deliverer? Well, according to what's written, they're all dead. They're all dead. All of them dead and have never been found. But you have this text here that tells you these are the words of God. Oh, absolutely. They make for great reading. Wonderful stories. You'll hear that. If you listen to my music, you'll hear those lyrics too. Yeah. The books make for great reading, filled with many stories of all the trials and tribulations of man and God in all his glory. Yeah. Groomed to be a man, so many examples. Most misled, regurgitating others like samples. Self-professed leaders, lots of opinions, want to be servants of God, mankind's minions. Those are lyrics from one of my songs. Yeah. The title of that song is called Booked. See, but you won't even listen to my music because hit a nigga, kill a nigga, knock a nigga out, or do me, baby sounds so much better than hearing the truths. That's mankind's condition. That is mankind's condition. And if you're confused about the term mankind, not including women, then that's another problem. Because I didn't coin that term. Your own text tells you mankind. Don't get mad at me. That's part of the problem. You're so hooked on lies. We keep telling the kids get hooked on phonics. We're so hooked on lies that we take the lies and we just drag them out and we add stuff onto it. Then we become defensive and then we say, well, you just need to believe. See, that kind of conduct that you have, that's the devil. But you're not even look at the calmness of the devil and the approach that he has had to you in your own life. How materialism has just enveloped your entire being. And that's all you think of. I got to get my car fixed. I got to take this watch and get another battery, and I got to polish up the diamonds. Meanwhile, your neighbor's walking by with a shopping cart of some things that they have uh, acquired through their daily run of the streets, pillaging through this. And you live right next door, and you come outside eating a sandwich. And, hey, what's going on, Johnny? You know they're starving. You know they're hungry, and you won't even feed them. Oh, don't let them not be Christian. Don't let them not be Muslim. Don't let them not be the preferred religion of yours. Oh, they really get banished, admonished. Oh, but you're a practicer of something that's supposed to be great in this belief. We don't have those conversations. We don't want to have those conversations because then it exposes the hypocrisy of what you profess to be. Does it make sense to you? You hide from man, but you don't hide it from God. And that makes sense. You've actually made sense of that. I'm not going to do this around sister so-and-so, brother so-and-so. Yeah, they see this, then it's, man, I got to hear it. I can hear it now. And then the justification is the same thing that we hear from the government when we challenge and we question things that they call conspiracy theories. But when somebody writes a book about it, it becomes a bestseller. But the person who started the whole story, the whole conspiracy of this, was banished, was taken into custody, was sent out of the country so they didn't spread this. But then everybody in the country bought this book that is now a bestseller, saying the same thing that this so-called conspiracy theorist was telling you. See, when things happen and we question, the first thing, the government does is respond with, well, tell that to the families of the deceased. That works. It's a diversionary tactic to not take responsibility for what the possibility or the probability of what did or did not happen. Y'all still looking for that photographer who was up on the moon with dude when he was the first man to land. Y'all still looking for that photographer. Oh, but y'all didn't start looking for that photographer until about 4 or 5 years ago. Y'all didn't think about that. Y'all didn't think about how the hell is he celebrated as the first man on the moon. Well, where the hell was the photographer? They didn't have drones then. How the hell did they get back? No question on any of that. But the conspiracy theorist who talked about that for years was the one who was blacklisted from life itself. And now you sit back. So what do you say now? What do you say now about the missing photographer on the moon? Nothing. You just suck it up and keep saying it happened. When we look at government and we look at religion, if you really, really look at it, is religion our government? Think about it. Is religion government? We don't want to think in that capacity because it doesn't make sense based on your teachings. But what position did Pharaoh actually take with the people? Now, I love the 10 Commandments. I watch that over and over again like my wife watches Home Alone. Yeah, this dude been home alone so long that I'm missing. But my wife will watch Home Alone day in and day out. My 3-year-old will watch Wizard of Oz until the Wicked Witch comes back to life, and she did in Wicked. But anyway, I'm just simply saying to you, like, at what point do you question? When you look back historically, you look at Pharaoh. Moses fought with Pharaoh about the existence of one God. One God. Pharaoh's position was, I am God. make sure the slaves get no straw to make those bricks. Yeah. And I still want the quota. Moses went back to the people. Yeah, they were all excited. Oh yeah, okay. And then no, well, no, it didn't happen that way. And then the older guy, I always remember this older guy. He was, Moses, what the hell have you done? How the hell are we supposed to make bricks with no straw? Damn, Moses, we should have sent someone else. Blaming Moses for trying to get Pharaoh to free the people. Did they get freed? How long did people fall under Pharaoh's rule? The Muslim believes that I bear witness, there's no God worthy of worshiping except God himself, that he has no partners. But acknowledgement was given that there are other gods. There's but one God worthy of worshiping. There's no God worthy of worshiping except God himself. Plain and simple. Right? You understood that? That made sense to you, right? But then when I changed the verbiage, I bear witness there's no God worthy of worshiping except Allah. It sounds much different. It cuts through you like a knife because I said Allah. Do you know that the Christians in the Middle East, when they say God, that they say Allah? No, you don't know that. Because you were too stuck in your ignorances and allowing somebody else to dictate to you how you should see and think about other people. But these are Christians. Allah is an Arabic word that means God. But you didn't know that. You think that the Muslim has a different God. You hooked on the TV. It's intentional that the divide exists. People who get radicalized are people who have absorbed the culture, the conscience, the conditions, the conflicts and controversies of another country. Do you know that the Muslims here in North America, the black Muslims who enter into masjids, mosques, are treated in a very biased manner by the Middle Easterners? Did you know that? Have you observed that? No, you don't know that. We don't practice what the hell they preach. We strapping bombs to our bodies and all that stupid shit. We don't do that. That's not religion. That's culture. That's culture. We're in North America. If you love the deen so much, and that's what you want Islamic law, you want Sharia, go there. If you read even a small portion about Islamic law, you would hush. Because most of y'all in North America wouldn't survive a day in any of these countries that are run by that. And then you have the nerve, the audacity to want to bring it here? Have you lost your damn mind? That's not today's subject matter. But I want you to see the conflict. I want you to see the conflict. I was a few years ago. I remember this guy, the pillow guy, the pillows. Now, if you know anything about commercials, you know anything about advertisements, you know that unless it's something that's about religion, which you seldom see, but that is the only time that you will see adornments related to religion. I was watching TV one day, and this is some years back, and the dude that sells the pillows came on, he did a commercial. He's holding his pillow up in front of him and showing the pillow and everything. shirt button up. But then I noticed he had a cross hanging over top of the button shirt. Never in my life, in watching television commercials, have I seen this. I said, well, maybe it was a fluke. It wasn't. Then you start hearing about evangelicals. Have you noticed that when you hear about evangelicals, right, that it's often said white evangelicals? Like, where's that come from? Like, because you don't hear race attached to religion. But this is a group of people who is often heard from very frequently in government. In government. Oh, you do know that he's also going to be running for a position in government. Don't say. I want you to open your eyes and I want you to pay attention what's happening with religion and government. And then ask yourself a legitimate question. Is government religion? Back to Pharaoh. Anybody who was following and listening to this dude, what happened to them? Look at all the stories that you've ever read in your literature. Look at all of the films that you ever watched that had to do with religion. And look at what role it had with government. With government. Look at your money. Look at your government systems. Right? I can't tell you to look at your license. Well, I can now. You can look at your license plate tag in Florida and you can see God on there now because you don't have it obstructed. Because if it did, your life would be obstructed. And again, while you're sitting in there, your life has been obstructed because of a license plate frame that blocked a portion of what the important part of what the tag is. Not the numbers on your tag, but it's important for us to know in God you trust. But while you're sitting in there, and then you go and you sit and look at this camera, then it's another person that sits in front of you that tells you about what you did wrong in your life. And right behind them, there's what? In God we trust. If you know anything about the term in God we trust and where it was coined, I forget which war, but it was during wartime where the Union soldiers were getting their behind handed to them, right? Because when you look at the Civil War, it was ugly. A lot of people died. And a lot of people died, right, in an effort to end slavery because they were against slavery too. A lot of whites died. So that's another part we keep forgetting to put into history, that we keep taking the part out that's important, because there were a lot of white folks who died for black life. So when next time you question if Black Lives Matter and who they matter to, well, I see more of Black Lives Mattering to whites than I do from blacks. And those who established that, look at what they did. But that's not today's subject matter. But everywhere you look in government, every time you hear a conversation, listen to the conversations. Listen to the conversations. It's always some reference to God. Always some reference to a Christian. We live in a Christian country. Therefore, we should have this and we should have that in our schools. Well, let's go back, because we're still talking about, is religion government? Because what the hell is government? What is government? A false structure that gives you the appearance or representation of the people when it does none of that stuff for the people, especially if you're not of this particular religion. If you're non-Christian, you're a threat. But I thought Christians and evangelical, I thought that was the same. Obviously not. Have you ever researched black evangelicals? It's funny that you have to even look up evangelical and you see white evangelical. Like, where's the rationale? What's actually happening here? So when you're trying to pinpoint who runs this world, it ain't the White House. It goes beyond that. Then you start having conversation about the Vatican. Is religion government? That's the question. That's the question. So there's a website I want you to go to. I want you to begin to make use of this website. And again, I'm referencing this website. I like the content of this website. One of the things in its description about us, which is about the site I'm about to reveal to you, is that they say that it's non-biased, it's non-partisan, and that it's a think tank. And I'll read exactly what it says when it goes to the About Us part. But my point is that it's always a question of anything that you read. You can listen. I always told staff during trainings, you cannot be non-biased. It's impossible to be non-biased. That's not to say that your response to a particular situation exposes that bias. But you have to acknowledge that you have a bias about a particular thing, subject matter, a person, whatever it may be. You just do. Everybody who became a police officer, everybody came into law enforcement, didn't go because they want to help in the capacity that you want to help. You want to save lives. You want to try to prevent people from having to go to prison. You want to de-escalate the situation. Police officers are not geared to do that. Police officers are geared to kill you. They're geared to kill you. Center of mass. Don't focus on anything else. Ain't no shooting you in the foot. Ain't no shooting you in your leg. We are going to kill your ass. Plain and simple. Right? If I was telling my wife today, look at these ICE agents. They don't even carry tasers. Yeah, they don't even carry tasers. Pew Research Center. Pew Research Center is a nonpartisan fact tank that informs the public about issues, attitudes, and trends shaping the world. We conduct public opinion polling, demographic research, content. So I just got cut off of off of TikTok, and it's funny how they pick and choose what it is that they want to cut off. Like what was said. I can't talk about Pew Charitable Trust because that's just where it got cut off. So it's fine. But that's the world we live in. Nothing wrong said, nothing offensive said, but something said that somebody didn't agree with. But people can sit on here, show their ass, show weapons, smoke dope, and all kind of other things. But these are realities, right? In reading these things, and so what I was talking about was how looking at the research center and looking at all the information they have, right? I found something that was very significant to talk about, which was 10 facts about religion and government in the United States, right? So one of the things it talks about on the Pew Research Center, it says the First Amendment to the United States Constitution says that the country shall have no official religion. And Americans have been debating where to draw the line between religion and government since the country's founding. So this is not something new. The debate recently resurfaced with 3 new Supreme Court rulings over religious symbols on public property, prayer in public schools, and state subsidies for religious schools, right? then this is current information, right? So this was this article was done July 5th, 2022. If you follow up and you read about these things that are noted here, you'll see prayer in public schools is something that is back being discussed again, right? Prayer in public schools. So does prayer in public schools, right, reflect the practices of one or more religions? That's the question to ask. Because for the person who doesn't embrace that particular prayer, what are they offered? Are they offered particular prayer time, or do they just have to sit through this prayer that's being offered in a non-religious institution? But religion is included. Religion is included in its day-to-day. So that's back again in conversation. So the suggestion there is that when there's prayer in school, what does that mean? Does that mean adherence to a preferred religion? So have we then not in fact singled out? Again, here where it talks about having the one religion, that so the country shall have no official religion, right? So where is that reflected? Where is that reflected? Right? And it goes back to TikTok. So TikTok cut me off, suspended me, right, until the 17th of this month. Like I give a shit. I mean, for real. For what? It doesn't make sense when they do all people shaking their ass, showing vagina and all kind of other stuff on TikTok. What did I say? Who did I offend? People will be offended by anything. So what was said or what was offensive about what was just said on TikTok, other than I was talking about Pew Charitable Trust. Well, that's not. Well, I was talking about Pew Research, but you have to go to Pew Charitable Trust to understand other things about Pew. But it's credible. I don't understand. So I don't understand what that was all about. But they're truths. So the person who makes that decision is who? What policy? People can say anything they want, but you can't respond back. See, it's crazy because people can make any statements because they have the right to. You don't have the right to respond back. I made statements. I've been making them since I started at 10 o'clock. So for 39 minutes, I've been making statements. So now I get cut off. Why? That's all that does for me. Why? I didn't cuss nobody out. I didn't say anything that was offensive about anybody's religion. None of those things. But I get cut. So that means if I get cut from TikTok, that means what? I'll get cut from this episode will get cut also from YouTube. So again, it just goes back to my point. What's actually running the world? Government or religion? And is religion the government? Because everywhere you look up, it's always in God we trust, yet we trust him not. Right? Pew Research surveys in recent years have shown that far more Americans support than oppose the separation of church and state. More Americans support than oppose the separation. Although there sometimes are divisions on these questions by political identity and religious affiliation, right? So when you look at the Democrats, right, you assume, first of all, that they're all black. And we know that's not true. But we do know that most blacks support the Democrat Party, right? Why? It's assumed that most whites and others support the Republican Party, right? It's assumed. Well, in my neighborhood, that's what it looked like. So that's not an assumption, right? And my neighborhood has been from South Philly to Yaden, to West Philly, to North Philly, right? To Outer Philly, right? So in my neighborhood, That was exact. It was on point. But the question is why? But then the other part to it is the religion attached to the Democratic Party. Most Baptists, Christian, right? You understand where this goes? So the question is, if the Democrat Party stood on a particular thing, it was also supported. It is also supported by the church. What church? What church is? Right? Therefore, the church itself projects the need to support that party. So it represents that party. So that means whatever information is coming from that party to that religious institution then pushes it on to their parishioners. That happens. That's what it is. Look here. So here are 10 facts about some of the connections between religion and government in the U.S. and the public's current views on the matter. Right? Number one, nearly 3/4 of U.S. adults, that's 73%, say religion should be kept separate from government policies. Right? And it breaks it down into Republicans more likely than Democrats to say government policies should support religious values. Yeah, see the difference? Republicans are more likely than Democrats to say government policies should support religious values. Right? So why did the Republicans take that position? Why did they take that position? Because Democrats don't say it, because they don't want to give the appearance, because they know that most of the people who support that party are poor, impoverished, blacks, Latino, and some others. But when you look at how they have it broken down here, they tell you, they give you the percentages. They give you the percentages of white, black, Hispanic, and Asian. They break it down for you numerically. So you have to ask yourself the question, why? So we find the Democrat Party is the one who wants to get all these millions and trillions of dollars for all these different programs, to save lives, to improve health, right? Well, healthcare, everybody's gotten smashed by that. Everybody's gotten beat down by this astronomical healthcare system. It's always been that way, right? Because healthcare system is what? Part of what? The financial structure, the capitalist structure. So we're going to keep on getting whacked. Everybody gets waxed by that. But when you turn around and you look at all this money that's been collected, ask yourself how much improvement has really come about as a result of the issuance of all this money. How much change actually came about? Think about it. How much change actually came about? Absolutely, some people benefit from it. Absolutely, there are people who are benefiting from it who shouldn't even have it. We know that exists. We can think of somebody right off the top of my head who's receiving subsidies, who's living in a Section 8 house, who's receiving hundreds of dollars, who work every day just like you and I. And they still say that they ain't making it. But we know somebody. We know somebody who shouldn't be getting it. That somebody who needs it don't get it. We know that. So that's the kind of ugliness that needs to be addressed. We know that. Right? But let's flip that over. How many of these religious institutions are actually feeding people? Where's the soup kitchens? Where's the food line in this big, humongous parking lot that y'all have out there that can hold 650 parishioners, but you don't have a spot out there where you have a food line that's formed so people can go get something to eat on Sunday morning, before service, after service. But you got a line out there for somebody who to set up a tent that's going to make money, but no issuance of meals to people who are starving. But as soon as the vote is coming up, what you got going on? right? You see Minister so-and-so standing next to the preferred candidate. Republicans say it. Democrats imply it. We implore you, right? Yeah, not change my party. So that's a whole nother discussion. 2, the Johnson Amendment limits political activity by religious organizations, and most Americans, 70%, want churches and other houses of worship to stay out of politics. Right? Again, you're mixing apples and oranges. Why are they even being put together? Again, is religion government? Is religion government? Listen to what you hear in the news today, in the media today, when conversations are being held about government and religion. Pay attention. Pay attention when these governors and these senators are speaking, especially at that level of government, because you get a different conversation when you start talking about governors. Senators, they're learning, right? But when you start listening to people above your mayor level, it changes. It changes. The content of the conversation changes, right? The Supreme Court, number 3, ruled in 1962 that it's unconstitutional for a teacher to lead a class in prayer at a public school. But 3 in 10 U.S. adults said in March of 2021, right, in a survey, that public school educators should be allowed to do this, which just begs the question, if you think that it's necessary in school, is it necessary in your home? Because I wouldn't be expecting for my first class at 8:00 to be opening up with prayer, right? Unless I was considering that the educational system is part of the religious system, because religion and education have that they don't even mix at all. So we're not even talking about. So again, you're talking about government, but in school, why would we be opening with prayer? And again, for or against is not my position. Prayer is prayer. But what I'm saying to you is, when you start looking at what's guiding the world's decisions, what's guiding the behaviors and attitudes of the world we live in, not just in America, because this is pervasive. It's not just here in America. There's other places you go to where, and I'm not talking about countries that are. I'm talking about going to places that you frequent regularly. You know, that we know that there is a mixture. There's a blend of religious practices. In the Middle East, there's Christianity. There's other, but what's most pervasive is Islam. Right? So, and then when you look at it here in America, you have to ask yourself, okay, so what's guiding this structure? And whether it is or isn't the question. The question is it? Because if it is, let's be 100 in it. Right? Let's be 100 in it, because that's what it eventually comes to. When decisions are being made, that's what it eventually comes to. Right? That group of people who have a belief that religion is constitution, because you can find the constitution in the religion, because it's conduct. Constitution is conduct, right, of citizens. So if it's conduct of citizens, then what is it that is expected of us? So what is expected of us comes from the very doctrine that you practice. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's not the issue. The issue is, which one is it? And if you're paying attention, you'll know which one it is. They just call it something else. But everything you see in your Constitution, you'll find in your religious texts. The people, the people, the people, the people, the people. Government goes opposite of what should be for the people. That's what makes it government. So the title of my book, my book is Code Black. So make sure you check that out. It's available on Amazon for $5. It's been there forever. But the title of my album being Gods in a Man's World speaks to just that. Speaks to just that. We know who created this. We know who's responsible for its existence, our existence, what we should know by now. But what's guiding it? Take any constitution, the U.S. Constitution, because you know there's more than one constitution. You got to figure that one out too. That's something that we didn't learn, right? We don't learn in education, right? We don't learn that in our own circles of our media circles. That's never talked about. But in the U.S. Constitution, read the U.S. Constitution, right? Read it. Just read it. And then go read your preferred religious text and find it in there. How do you treat other people? Who has the right for this? Do these people have the right to that? This is what you are permitted to do. You have the right to a voice. I just got cut from TikTok for something somebody thought was not appropriate for this community. I remember working with a bunch of guys in prison, and most of them had faith-based, they had a faith-based thinking as to what it is that they wanted to see. Again, so I want you to look at that, they wanted to establish, a structure for other inmates to be included and to live in this particular structure. And they had a faith-based mindset as to how, okay. But then as they started talking, and they started talking about who they wanted to exclude, who they didn't want to have, and who they believed would be better suited, I just had to ask the question, okay, so remind me again, who did Jesus sit at the table with? Right? Who did he talk to? Those who chose to congregate around and hear the good news. We'll use that term. Right? What is the purpose of religion? What is the foundation of living for a person who chooses this? So they had to sit there and think about, well, damn, yeah, we didn't really, so just kind of taking people back. See, there's a preferred way of living, right, based on doctrine. This is how we would like to see this, right? And then they start looking at, okay, well, who do we actually wind up with? Right? If we take this approach to establishment of a community of right living, who do we include in it? So now you're making determinations as to who is fitting for this. And they weren't, listen to what I'm saying. I didn't bash them. They didn't feel bashed. They didn't feel offended. But they began to look at things through a different lens. If I am the example, if according to my doctrine that I should stand out amongst all others, I should stand out. How do I stand out? Do I stand out with a cross around my neck? Do I stand out because I have a kufi on, a jalabia, a izar? How am I standing out? That's the question. Right? How am I standing out? So when you look at, once again, you have all of these people, 70% say, hey, we don't, right? Keep it out. Because it's not, it becomes more than just about the prayer itself. Then it becomes about the facilitator of the prayer. Right? We know that anybody practicing a religion in any capacity Their goal is to get you with them. Period. I sell cars, right? I want you to buy a car. If I'm Muslim and that's my preferred practice, I want to encourage you and motivate you towards the teaching. If I'm Christian, if I whatever the religion is, right? You are seeking to have people around you, people together who are equally yoked. Right? And you don't even know what that term means. Somebody told you this or somebody told you that. And they told you wrong. Look up words. Use a dictionary and look up words. Right? So this is the intent here that you have to look at. Who is doing the prayer? Oh, so you're going to have Pastor so-and-so come in? Are you going to have different religious leaders come in and offer prayer? Does the imam have the same right as the Christian pastor? Oh, you just can't use the words. You can't say Allah because then that's going to offend everybody because everybody wants to cringe because Islam is, they're under fire. But it doesn't make sense. And we allow that kind of content to be on our media. If I was sitting here talking about Islam under current conditions in the current era, I guarantee you TikTok would have not cut me off. Guaranteed. If I was talking in support of and in alignment with anything going on here in America, right? Yep. Even if it's negative, it's going to go through. Even if it's negative, it's going to go through. So when you look at government control, right? We're talking about religion and government. Which part offended the person on TikTok who made the decision to cut me the hell off? Right? If I experience the same thing, if you don't find this video on YouTube, who made that decision? Why? TikTok will allow you to have glimpses of your vagina. Right? They watch this stuff all the time. They know what's on here. You can shake your ass. You can show your camel toe. Right? You can do all those things on TikTok. Welcome to America. That was Harris's approach. Let me get this woman on the stage and shake her ass before all the world so I can get this vote. That's a whole nother show. Right? So it's just proving my point that when you address things that should be addressed, and this is why people don't say anything. So there's no freedom of speech. The Constitution gives it to you. Where's the freedom of speech? Where? You don't want learned people. You want ignorant people. You want people afraid and cowering to be able to have just good old wholesome conversations. Right? Nobody got cussed out. Nobody got demeaned. And none of that in the conversation that's being had. So what triggered it is the question. Oh, well, you were talking about this. No, that's your opinion. And your opinion doesn't matter. If I'm not sitting here threatening anybody, if I'm not cussing people out, if I'm not just being downright disrespectful about other people, why would you want to be cutting it off? But I'm going to do one better. I just close the account because you show where you stand. See, it's not that deep for me. It's not that deep for me. Since 2006, 2007, I've been live online. Never one time have I ever been guilty of or conducted myself in any offensive manner to some people. But disagreement, maybe. Offend? I don't never set out to offend anybody. But this is what you have now. Now, and isn't TikTok governed by the United States? Oh, okay. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So at the end of the day, again, what's the incorrectness? What's the violation? The violation is based on the structure that you put in place that somebody couldn't have freedom of speech. But you can shake all the ass and show all the vagina you want. TikTok is porn. It's soft porn. And then if you really look at it, you have other pages under TikTok that they can see more. But that still runs. But isn't that deep? Again, is that religion or government? Yeah. Number 4, Americans are divided on whether local governments should be allowed to put religious symbols on public property. Why should there be religious symbols on public property? If you're not going to conduct yourself that way across the board, right, then why do it partially? What would you feel like if you saw a star and a crescent on the building that indicates support of the Nation of Islam, but the star and crescent isn't that symbol? What about Pakistan? What about other people who use that? So that star and crescent has numerous connotations attached to it. What does the star represent? Justice. Isn't that why police officers have badges? The sheriff has the star badge. Isn't that why the sheriff wore a star as a symbol of the justice? What's the crescent represents? What does it represent? So it's all based on somebody else's interpretation. So TikTok cut me off based on whose interpretation? Who governed that? Who made a decision that, well, this is said, so no, we don't, it's a possibility, so no, we don't. But me standing and shaking my ass with my 2-year-old next to me, and I'm showing camel toe, that's all okay. Y'all figure that out. I don't need to. It's not that deep for me. Number 5, while the U.S. Constitution does not mention God, nearly all state constitutions reference either God or the divine. In having conversations with people, I try to have conversations based on a spiritual level and understanding certain things. So when you look at the shows, you'll see that kind of stuff. Because, I'll mention God, but if people know my history and know that for years I was a practicer of Islam specifically, for many years, they automatically think such and such. That's just what they do. That's ignorant. But it goes past ignorant if you know and still continue otherwise. So it's like you don't want to know because it's embedded. And this is the same issue within government. Same issue when people start looking at, do we want signs and symbols of religion? Because some of those signs and symbols of religion also are signs and symbols that are worn and that are brazenly displayed by hate groups. Yeah. By hate groups. So if you say that this particular symbol represents this group, but this hate group also bears this symbol, what are you saying? You just say, okay, well, they're the bad ones. Okay, so if they're the bad ones, what are you going to do about them? Because now you have to do something about them. So what are you going to say about them? So now you have to defend the bad apples in your group. Because it's the practice of this particular religion is pervasive in every level of government, in every level of daily life. What are you going to do about those who are not in compliance, in adherence with their religious practice? Now you have to address them. It's just too much, right? Number 6, Christmas Day is the only federal holiday that's also a religious holiday, although many Americans view Christmas as a cultural holiday too. Congress made Christmas, along with 4th of July, Thanksgiving, and New Year's Day, an unpaid holiday for the federal D.C. workforce in 1870. Right? D.C. Federal D.C. A later bill extended these as paid vacation days for all government employees. Courts have upheld Christmas Day's constitutionality, arguing that federal office closures do not coerce citizens to engage in religious activities. Efforts to recognize other religious holidays, such as the Muslim Eid al-Fitr, have been successful to date. Right? So you got to listen to the point. A holiday, a federal holiday, and a religious holiday, and some perceive it as cultural. Right? And that's important. And again, that's why I look at this site. Cultural, right? Is Christmas in every country? Is it recognized by everyone as a religious holiday, or a holiday where it's family gathering, where that seems to be across the board, the giving of gifts, the bonding of family members, the rekindling of relationships with other family members, seeing people who you haven't seen since February. But here we are today. We have this big dinner. Everybody gets together. We mourn the loss. We celebrate the new. Right? Number 7, almost all U.S. presidents, including Joe Biden, have been Christian. Biden is the only second Catholic president after JFK, while the vast majority of others have been Protestant, most Episcopalian or Presbyterian. 2 of the most famous presidents, Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln, had no formal religious affiliation. Most presidents have been sworn in with a Bible, and they traditionally seal their oath of office with the phrase, "So help me God." Roughly half of Americans feel it either very, 20%, or somewhat, 32%, important for a president to have strong religious beliefs, even if they are different from their own, according to a survey conducted in February 2020. So when you look at that survey and you ask yourself, what would you rather have in the leader of the highest seat in the land? Someone who has no no religious foundation, somebody who just has a spiritual foundation, or somebody that has none? Ask yourself that. So having said all of that, in this information, with all of these people having these religious backgrounds, right, in their personal lives, how did that play out for the world? What approach did they take for establishing principles and values and culture within our country of origin, America? How many? That's what you have to look at. What kind of actions did they take toward different events and things that happen in America? Are these approaches, things that you would have dealt with in the same capacity? Did it even matter? Because to some of us, to many of us, we never even ever made the connection. So many people make decisions based on race. So many people make decisions based on association, right? So many people just make a decision on who they want to vote into office, but religion, for so many, is not included. But for many, it is included. For many, it is included. And why? Why is religion included in politics? Why? What's the significance of it? Right? Because it's a matter of desiring to establish a principled way of living, a righteous way of living. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I used to always tell people, throughout the years when I was, working in the field, I am not the Muslim program director. I am the program director who is Muslim. So coming to me with the greeting and all that is not going to change my stand with policy and procedure. I will violate you. I will terminate you from this program. I will send you back to prison. I will do my due diligence to make sure that what I'm hired to do is done. Period. But we know it blurs the lines when you don't stand by that, when you don't make it plain. It was necessary that it was stated to the community so they would understand. Don't come to me with that. That's not how it works. Right? So you have to ask yourself, a person in a role of leadership in the highest seat of the land, how do they respond to other world leaders who are practicers or who directly of the religion, or they live in a country that adheres to particular practices that are not in agreement nor in alignment with their current religious practices? How does that actually play out in the relationship? Because you hear all these things about what do you call them? Crimes against humanity, right? You keep hearing all these crimes against humanity, and you start looking at the charges, and you say, okay, well, those same crimes that you saying are happening there are happening here in our own country, but they're not crimes against humanity. I mean, is it not humane to see people starving and don't do everything within your means and your power to put them on path to be able to take care of and care for, to collaborate with their country, to make sure that these people are healthy and being able to, but giving them rice and stuff that just looks like mud or starch and with water, and you just sit there and and then say that that's what they have. No, but you taking everything from them, all of their riches. Oh, it's not us that's taking it, it's them. So why are you not holding these people accountable who are taking all of these riches, lining their own pockets, and then letting their people live in the conditions that they do? For me, that's something that we should be involved in. That's something we should be involved in. We should be making sure that every human being has the ability, has access to the resource of being able to eat. But we're not fighting that war. We're not fighting that war. In God we trust. So help me God. Sounds confusing. Number 8, Congress has always been overwhelmingly Christian, and roughly 9 in 10 representatives, 88%, in the current Congress, including 99% of Republicans and 78% of Democrats, identify as Christian. According to January 2021 analysis, Congress is both more heavily Protestant than the U.S. population overall. That's 55% versus 40%, and more heavily Catholic, 30% versus 21%. Understand. 9, the Constitution guarantees that religion can never be a requirement for holding public office. But most Americans don't know this, right? According to a 2019 Pew Research Center survey, when asked in a multiple choice question what the Constitution says about religion, only 27% of adults are able to correctly identify that no religion test is necessary to hold public office. Many U.S. adults incorrectly select the Constitution requires federal office holders to affirm that all men are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. That's 15%. That the Constitution requires federal office holders to be sworn in on the Holy Bible. 12%. Right? Or that the Constitution says nothing about religion as it relates to federal office holders. That's 13%. Another 31% say they are not sure what the Constitution says about this. Right? So 31% said they are not sure what the Constitution says about the relationship with religion and those who are in office, because people don't care. I don't care what religion you practice. It's based on how you present it to others. Can you have a conversation with me, who is a practicer of no religion, without telling me that I have to, that I should, or I should make some consideration of your particular religion? Why can't two human beings just have a conversation? Just like race, where two people having a conversation. You're white, I'm Asian. You're black, I'm white. But why does it matter? Because it's been made to matter. It's been made to matter, right? But it doesn't matter. So whether you practice religion or not shouldn't matter. But once you find out that somebody practices a particular religion, you begin to question their religion. So therefore you question them. Therefore you question their efforts, their intent in this position. Herein lies the problem. Let's have a talk. Show me your religious text and show me how you are supposed to interact with those who are non-practicers of what it is that you practice. What is your intent? Because that's where the problem comes in. But if you're walking around saying, well, you practice this and you practice that, therefore we're not equally yoked, therefore we are not the same, you don't understand what equally yoked means. Do you even know what the word yoke means? No, most of you don't. So it's a whole lot of things people don't know. The last one on this list, and we're a few minutes over, but we started a little late. Number 10, Americans are divided on the extent to which the country's laws should reflect biblical teachings. Roughly half of adults say the Bible should influence U.S. laws either a great deal, that's 23%, or some, that's 26%. And more than a quarter say, which is 28%, say the Bible should prevail over the will of the people if the two are at odds, according to a February 2020 survey. Half of Americans, meanwhile, say the Bible should not influence U.S. laws much, that's 19%, or at all, 31%. So that's half. Half. So it begs the question, is it religion that we're practicing, or is it government? I know what the definition of government is, but is religion government? Is religion government? I care not, neither, because my relationship with God is personal. But when you look around us and you see exactly what's taking place, right? No matter what it is that you do, you can't make what exists outside of me my reality in my personal life. You can't. That doesn't make me any different. See, I don't care who's in office. I don't care who's in office in any level of government. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, my duties and responsibilities to myself, my family, God are first and foremost. Nothing else matters. If bread goes up to $10 a loaf, I'm going to either make a decision to buy a loaf to get the ingredients to make my own or stop eating it. It's really that simple. It's that simple. Right? Anybody can make their own bread, no matter how high merchandise becomes. I either use it or don't use it. Meat keeps going up. I'm all right with beans, nuts, berries. I'm all right with those things. Stop buying it. Gas keeps going up. Share a ride. Get a bike. They got motorized bikes now that run. They run about 30 miles an hour. Some a little faster. Make a choice. Ain't no sense complaining about it. Oh, I'm sorry. Isn't that what Scripture says too? So again, you can sit down and think of everything that goes on in government that adds to the structure of the world, not just America. And you see it. It's right there. But you're going to get mad if you find out, well, listen, the Protestants run the world. So, what's the issue? Well, you know they what? Have you read their scripture? Are you in disagreement with the scripture? So, sounds like a pretty damn structure of living for me as a person, individually. So why wouldn't it be used to structure the world, to structure America? What would be the issue? Oh, that's not what you practice. How do you know that's not what you practice if you're not reading what they practice? We look for the differences, not the similarities. Is it religion that runs the world, or is it government? That's what you have to ask yourself. Because if you are a practicer of religion and you see the different things about America's structure, we'll focus on America's structure, how much of it regards daily practices of your preferred religion? There's rules that govern conduct of the individual. Fair and just way of treatment, regardless of anything else. That's man. Man makes decisions, right? He doesn't care. Doesn't care. Listen, I would hate to have to be in any politician's position, especially at the level of presidency, right? Senate, Congress, governor. Because when things don't go right, it go left for you. And things always go left for you as a politician because you can never satisfy the masses. It's always going to be that one group that automatically opposes just because. Just because. And what do they use against you? Oh, you one of them Christian people. You one of them evangelicals. You Muslim. Now, what's happening in this city? Was it Minnesota? That should have never happened. What's happening in New York shouldn't have never happened. All of that should have never come to where it is today. Right? But again, it's part of the divide that is imposed upon us on a regular basis. It shouldn't have never got to that position in Minnesota. It shouldn't have never gotten to that position in New York for it to become world news tonight. These people didn't just show up. They didn't just pop up like a pop-up shop and start doing it. These people existed. These people were involved in the fabric. It should have never happened. Plain and simple. It shouldn't have never happened. Now, what you've done is created an enemy, somebody else to be looked at like they the enemy. Okay, they may very well be the enemy, but how did they ever get to that position in the beginning? You didn't notice then. You didn't pay attention then. Now you give the appearance. Now you give the appearance of wrongness. Now you give the appearance, even if it's not such. Even if everything that's being said is legitimate, it's true about their practices, about their talking about the Somalis, so on and so forth. The dude that ran for mayor, yeah. But even if these things are legitimate, these things could have been done with before even coming to national, international attention and conflict and a damn scandal. It should have never came to that. Who allowed it? Who allowed it? Who allowed this to come to this point? Now you got everybody looking at TV saying how idiotic these people are and how hateful and mean and spiteful these people are. Then these people come out with their own people and say, hey, we didn't know. Come on. You knew just like everybody else knew. You benefit from it. Let's call it what it is. But the reality of it is, why are we as Americans sitting here in front of our televisions like seeing it's like nobody knew? What we should be doing is seeing who it is that allowed this to get here. They should be being addressed as well. It's just like license plate frames. You're just going to start stopping people, penalizing people $500-$600, locking people up for having this frame. So many people don't even know that this is really going on. But the same thing happened with the HOV lane in the state of Florida. I didn't know nothing about this. I found out about the license frame thing in social media. If it wasn't for these social media outlets, right, I would have never known about that. And it's still people today driving around with license frames on their tags. I've been to about the covers, but the same efforts weren't put out to tell you about the HOV lane. No, there was no warning given. You were stopped and you were given a ticket for $300. I got a $300 ticket. Like, dude, you couldn't just tell me, like, hey, listen, giving you a warning. No, everybody that got stopped in the HOV, and I wasn't the only one. I watched this cop literally go ping, 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 ping all the time. These were $300 tickets given out to everybody. Where was it ever anything that was said that this is coming? Where were the infomercials? Where was the stuff sent in the mailings? I get penalized for not wanting to sit down and watch the daily news, which is bullshit. I mean, I don't watch the news like that. Oh, that's on me because I got to watch y'all idiot tubes so I can see the idiot things that you're doing to American citizens. That makes sense. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. Again, does religion run America or does government? If let it be whatever it's going to be. Well, let's not mix apples and oranges. Let's stop going back and forth. If we want to establish Christian values as being what governs America, let's say that. If somebody's offended by it, fuck them. They're going to be offended anyway, no matter what it is that you do. But I'm just saying that I'm not the only one asking that question. I'm not the only one who has that perception. If you are a practicer, if you're a believer in religious doctrine, you should see it. You should see it. But you have to ask yourself why you would oppose it. It's the foundation of living here in America. That's the reality. That's the reality. If it don't work for you, don't live in America. It's a simple solution. It's such simple solutions to things. But you have these people out there, that's their narrative. They want to run all that. No, we shouldn't do this. I'm in disagreement with that one. I think that if you want to establish religion as a foundation of living in any country, right? that it should be said. This is what it is. This is what we do. Now, but when you don't follow it to the letter, that's where the problem comes in. Because now you want to call it government when it's outside of the parameters of what the scripture says. You want to call that government. When it's within the parameters, then you want to call it government. Hey, listen. Y'all will not see me on TikTok ever again. They can restore whatever they want to restore on TikTok. I said nothing to offend anyone. In the sense that I was being offensive in things that I stated, how I stated them. I delivered none of those things. That's my show. Always directs you towards self-discovery. They have an issue with Pew. I don't know. Pew has always been a go-to source for me in the past for a variety of things. You know, Pew Charitable Trust, the Pew Research Center. Did y'all mistake Pew for being pew that they use to describe a weapon of mass destruction? I mean, the reality of it is, like, you know, this is the kind of stuff that TikTok does, and it's just asinine on their behalf that they pick and choose what they. I look at TikTok all the time. I am always seeing images of vaginas and asses and titties in my face. I'm always seeing acts of violence upon other people. I'm always seeing these things. Nothing in anything that I said today or since 2006 has ever even teetered on that kind of content. But you want to cut me off. Hey, man, TikTok, fuck you very much, because I will never be back on TikTok. Don't want to sell merchandise on TikTok. I'm good. I'm cutting y'all completely off. I don't matter to y'all, but it matters to me because that's my value. That's my value. Yeah. Yeah. To treat others as I want to be treated. Y'all don't do that. So y'all cut off. Hey, listen, this is your man, Shabir Aleem. As always, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys next Saturday. I think 10 o'clock is a good time for me to be on. It's a comfortable time, you know, to sit down. The 3-year-olds upstairs watching Christmas movies. The 9-year-olds out at dance practice, and mom is with her. So yeah, this is a good time. Anywho, listen, you can be doing anything else on a Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. Now 11:37. They're listening to me. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to go to Aleem for You, ALIM for you.com. I mean, excuse me. Jeez. I'm looking at 19 things. I'm trying to show you 19 things in these banners. So make sure you go to Aleem for You. You see it right there, AleemForYou.net. We're a custom creator of merchandise, right? We're revamping our brand to be more geared towards certain merchandise. Everybody's doing tumblers, apparel. You know, we want certain types of apparel, right? We're focusing on, like, for instance, T-shirts that are not like your standard T-shirts. Yeah. We're not a T-shirt design company. No, don't waste time in calling us and ask us, hey, listen, we having this coming up, such and such. Can you do T-shirts? We designed those kind of things, right? So, you know, you want a family reunion T-shirt. We do a certain type of family reunion T-shirt. We don't do ink printing. We do DTF, which is direct transfer to your item. We do sublimation. We have pop-up shops that we'll be starting to do. So the pop-up shop is right sitting right next to me on this table. The whole shop has been done with LED lights, right, all the way around. I'm just seeing LED light section that wasn't covered. But it's like sealed up. It's waterproof. It's rainproof. It's tear the hell up proof, because I got clear duct tape. You got that Gorilla Tape is clear, go all the way around, so I can up and down it and all that stuff. But aleemforyou.net, we have merchandise, on sale all the time. It's merchandise on sale. Yesterday was the last $5 off everything deal. But we still have stuff on sale. We have stuff on sale to rent. Listen, regularly. But what we are focusing in on is customized family reunion shirts. Like you got pictures of the family. You got something that shows the theme, the exact theme. We're the ones to do that. We got a setup fee. We give you 2 to 3 layouts that you can pick from. Some people want to add this and put this over here, and that we can do that. We do that, but we design the entire shirt. We make it an all over print design. It's not just in the middle that it says Johnson Family Reunion, right? We do all over shirts. So you put the order in, this is what you want, these are the colors, and we design an entire shirt. We can do it like this. We design it for you. You give us all the particulars, we design it for you, right? But if you're just looking for like a inked, tree or something with people's names in it and stuff, that you if that's what you want, you can do that. But we customize our merchandise. Our merchandise is customized. And that's what I need for everybody to understand. We are not a t-shirt company. Aleem for You is a branded vibe. Our merchandise is going to be merchandise that, first of all, it's no NI generated designs. We don't use AI for our designs. For ads, yeah. Designs, no. So everything is thought of. So when you look at it, you're looking at somebody's mind. You're looking at a work of art. When you look at something that's AI generated, it's just something that the computer did. That's what you want. You can go for that. Listen, it's out there for you. That's not the brand that we're standing on. We're standing on something that's done the old-fashioned way. We use our brain. We use, the tools that are at our disposal, such as Photoshop, to be able to bring it all together and make it look like one design. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're having a girls' trip, if you're having a family reunion, if you're having a particular event, right, we got you covered. We got you covered. All over print. It's a whole work of art. Long sleeve shirts. I'm going to be doing shows on live showings on it's going to be TikTok, on other social media platforms. This one here, if you're watching this is on my Sabir Aleem educational station on YouTube. But I also have the Sabir Aleem and the Aleem for You Facebook page. I also have Why Are You My Ex on Instagram, but also Aleem for You. So all you have to do is just Google Sabir Aleem or Aleem for You, and you'll find me. You'll see my picture somewhere in there where you can be able to locate where we are, what we're doing. I'll be posting events when we're going to do a pop-up. So if we're going to be in West Palm Beach, you'll see the post that says we'll be here in West Palm Beach. We'll be in Miami. We'll be in Orlando. We'll be in Philly, Delaware, wherever it is that we're going to be. You'll have access to those things. Again, check out my music. The title of the album that'll be released December 25th, right? God's in a Man's World. Just did a whole show on God. Yeah, right? But make sure you check that out. Sabir Aleem. That's my twist. That's what I do, right? And that's all on that my music is all on the same level. It talks about social issues, the need to change, the divisive things that need to stop happening. That's part of why we do need to have something more in structure regarding right living in America. You can't stop hatred. Cain murdered Abel, his own brother. We were told to get ye down from here. You can't expect perfection and all the greatness and good people, on earth. But if you have a structure that heads in the direction of stability by using spiritual principles and things of that nature, it's a better outcome. Won't stop. The end, that's already written. It's tell you how it's going to end. But yeah, you look at those kind of things. Listen, go Birds. Y'all keep talking about my Eagles. Listen, Eagles going to take this thing by the horns, and they're going to be in the Super Bowl. Y'all know that. Stop playing with me. I'll see y'all soon. My name is Sabir Lane. Peace. Little girl, come on downstairs.